Step out of the vehicle, now. Officer, this is my car. I just bought it 20 minutes ago. I have the paperwork right here. Exit the vehicle with your hands visible. I'm Dr. Marcus Henderson. I teach at the university. I literally just drove this off the lot. The salesman is right inside.
Officer Derek Sullivan had 14 years with the county sheriff's department. He'd made hundreds of traffic stops, filed thousands of reports. In his mind, this was routine. A black man in an $87,000 Mercedes-Benz sedan with temporary dealer tags in an affluent neighborhood raised flags. He'd activated his body camera at 3:14 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon in May, following department protocol. The device clipped to his uniform vest began recording immediately. What he didn't know was that his own camera was recording everything, every word, every decision, every assumption that would end his career and cost his department $2.8 million. The body camera recorded the reflection of the dealership's glass facade just 70 yards behind them. The timestamp showed 3:14:22 p.m. The audio captured traffic noise from the boulevard, the hum of the Mercedes engine still running, and Dr. Henderson's measured breathing as he placed both hands on the steering wheel where Sullivan could see them. Before we continue, where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments. If this is your first time here, subscribe to What the Camera Saw. Stories like these need witnesses, and your support helps us bring more truth to light. Derek Sullivan joined the Sheriff's Department in 2009, straight out of the police academy at age 23. His personnel file showed 27 formal complaints over those 14 years. 23 involved allegations of racial profiling. All were dismissed following internal review as unfounded or insufficient evidence. The department had implemented mandatory body cameras in March 2021, following a consent decree with the Department of Justice. Compliance rates hovered at 62%. Sullivan's activation rate for traffic stops involving white motorists was 41%. For stops involving black motorists, it was 97%. He activated his camera when he expected confrontation. On this Tuesday afternoon, he expected confrontation. His patrol log showed 31 traffic stops in the previous 6 months within a 2-mile radius of the luxury auto district. 29 involved black or Hispanic drivers operating vehicles valued above $60,000. The statistical improbability would later become Exhibit C in federal court. But on this afternoon, Sullivan was confident. He was following his training, making a righteous stop. His camera would document his professionalism. That decision would be his downfall. Dr. Marcus Henderson was 41 years old. He held a doctorate in molecular biology from Johns Hopkins University. He'd published 47 peer-reviewed papers on gene expression mechanisms. For the past 6 years, he'd directed the Cellular Research Laboratory at the State University, overseeing a department of 19 researchers and graduate students. His annual salary was $147,000. He'd saved for 3 years to purchase the vehicle he was now sitting in, hands on the wheel, wondering why his afternoon had taken this turn. He lived in a modest home in a middle-class neighborhood 14 miles from campus. He drove a 9-year-old Honda Civic. That morning, the Civic's transmission had finally failed after 187,000 miles. He'd been planning to replace it. The transmission failure accelerated his timeline. During his lunch break, he'd called the Mercedes dealership he'd been researching. They had a certified pre-owned E-Class sedan in his price range. He'd arranged financing through his credit union the previous week. His credit score was 791. He'd made an appointment for 2:30 p.m., cleared his afternoon schedule, and taken an Uber to the dealership. The purchase process took 48 minutes. He'd negotiated the final price to $86,750, put down $30,000, signed the financing agreement, received the keys from the sales manager, Robert Chen. Chen had walked him through the vehicle's features, explained the temporary registration taped to the rear window, and handed him the bill of sale, insurance declaration, and financing contract in a leather portfolio embossed with the dealership's logo. "Congratulations, Dr. Henderson," Chen had said, shaking his hand at 3:11 p.m. "Enjoy your new car." Dr. Henderson had driven exactly 0.4 miles when Officer Sullivan's patrol vehicle appeared in his rearview mirror with lights activated. They were accomplished professionals, but they were also black, which meant they regularly faced what psychologists call racial incongruity bias, the assumption that their presence in certain spaces with certain possessions must be illegitimate. The body camera recorded Dr. Henderson's hands, clearly visible on the steering wheel. The footage captured him sitting motionless in the driver's seat, the engine still running. The audio picked up Sullivan's voice over the department-issued radio microphone. "Dispatch, show me out on a traffic stop, westbound Lexington Avenue, just past the auto district. Running a plate verification on possible stolen vehicle." Copy 347. Be advised, registration shows current with no flags. The body cam footage showed Sullivan approaching from the driver's side rear, his hand resting on his service weapon, standard approach protocol. But the footage also captured something else. Sullivan walking directly past the dealership's name and logo emblazoned on the temporary tag in the rear window. The tag that was dated that day, that hour. "License and registration," Sullivan said, now at the driver's window. The camera recorded Dr. Henderson reaching slowly toward the passenger seat. "Officer, I'm reaching for my paperwork. I just purchased this vehicle. I have the bill of sale, the financing agreement, my driver's license." "Keep your hands where I can see them." "My hands are visible. I'm just retrieving the documents you requested." The footage captured Dr. Henderson lifting the leather portfolio with 2 fingers. He opened it carefully. The camera's lens caught the reflection of the documents. Bill of sale clearly visible. Dealership letterhead, the price, the date, the time. 3:11 p.m., 13 minutes ago. "This doesn't prove anything," Sullivan said. "People steal paperwork too." "Officer, I'm the registered owner. My name is on these documents. My credit union issued the check. The dealership is right there." Dr. Henderson gestured toward the glass building clearly visible in the body cam frame. "The salesman who sold me this car is still inside. His name is Robert Chen. You can verify this in 2 minutes." The body camera recorded Sullivan's response. "Step out of the vehicle." "Am I being detained?" "You're being investigated for possible vehicle theft. Exit the vehicle now, or you'll be charged with obstruction." Dr. Henderson removed his seatbelt. The microphone picked up the click. He opened the door slowly. The camera captured him stepping onto the pavement, hands raised to chest level. "Turn around. Hands behind your back." "Officer, I haven't committed any crime. I own this vehicle. I can prove—" "You're resisting lawful commands." "I'm not resisting. I'm complying with every instruction. I'm simply asking what crime I'm suspected of." The footage showed Sullivan reaching for his handcuffs. At that moment, a voice entered the frame. "Hey, what's going on?" The body camera panned right. A man in a white dress shirt and blue tie was walking quickly across the dealership parking lot. The zoom captured his employee badge, Robert Chen, sales manager. "Sir, step back," Sullivan ordered. "That's my customer," Chen said, pointing at Dr. Henderson. "He just bought that car from me, like 15 minutes ago." The camera recorded Sullivan's posture stiffening. "Did I ask you to approach?" "He's telling the truth," Chen continued. "I sold him that Mercedes. I gave him those papers. He paid $30,000 down. I watched him drive off the lot. What's the problem?" "The problem is you're interfering with an investigation." "Investigation of what?" "He owns that car. I processed the sale myself. I can show you the transaction in our system." The footage captured Dr. Henderson's face, relief mixed with humiliation. The audio picked up his voice, quieter now. "I tried to explain that." Sullivan turned to Chen. "Do you have documentation?" "Of course, come inside. I'll pull up the file." His financing cleared. His credit union wired the funds. His insurance is active. He took delivery at 3:11 p.m. Chen looked at his watch. 18 minutes ago. The body camera recorded the walk back to the dealership. Sullivan's hand remained near his weapon. Dr. Henderson walked between them, still not handcuffed, but not free to leave. The footage showed customers in the showroom stopping to watch. Through the glass. Inside, Chen led them to his desk. The camera captured him logging into the dealership's computer system. He pulled up a file. The screen showed Dr. Henderson's name, address, social security number, credit score, the vehicle VIN, the sale price, the down payment, the financing terms, the time of sale. Here's the bill of sale, Chen said, turning the monitor. Here's the lien holder confirmation. Here's the insurance binder. Here's the temporary registration. He's the legal owner. What exactly are you investigating? The body camera recorded Sullivan's silence. 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 8 seconds. I received a report of suspicious activity, Sullivan finally said. From who? Chen asked. That's not your concern. It is my concern when you're harassing my customers. Dr. Henderson purchased this vehicle legitimately. He has every right to drive it. You just tried to arrest him for stealing his own property. The footage captured Sullivan's jaw tightening. I was following up on a call. What call? Dr. Henderson said. I drove 70 yards. I didn't break any traffic laws. I wasn't speeding. My tags are current. My insurance is active. Why did you stop me? The body camera recorded what came next. Sullivan's non-answer, his pivot toward procedure. I was conducting a routine verification. Routine? Dr. Henderson pulled out his phone. The camera captured the gesture. Then you won't mind if I document this. For my records. Put that away. I have the right to record a public interaction with law enforcement. I'm not interfering with your duties. I'm exercising my First Amendment rights. Dr. Henderson held his phone at chest level, camera active. Now there were 2 cameras recording. 2 sets of evidence. Sullivan knew this. The footage showed his posture shift, the authority draining. This stop is concluded, Sullivan said. You're free to go. Am I free to file a complaint? That's your right. And your name is? Sullivan, Deputy Derek Sullivan, badge 347. The body camera captured Dr. Henderson's expression. Not anger, not triumph, exhaustion. The exhaustion of explaining your legitimacy for the 1000th time, of proving you belong in your own life. Should officers who conduct pretextual stops based solely on racial assumptions face federal prosecution? Comment your thoughts below. This wasn't just harassment. This was a violation of Fourth Amendment protections against unreasonable search and seizure, and his own body cam was recording every moment. Sullivan returned to his patrol vehicle at 3:41 p.m. The body camera remained active. The footage showed him sitting in the driver's seat, writing his incident report on the mobile data terminal. His report stated, conducted traffic stop on suspicious vehicle with temporary tags. Driver became argumentative and uncooperative. Verified ownership through dealership. Stop. Concluded without incident. The bodycam footage contradicted every element of that narrative. At 4:15 p.m., Sullivan docked his body camera at the station. Department protocol required all footage to be uploaded to the secure server within 2 hours of the end of shift. The upload was automatic. The footage entered the system at 4:17 p.m. File name, Sullivan 3470524231514.mp4. 27 minutes and 33 seconds of video. Every frame backed up. Every audio sample archived. Dr. Henderson drove home at 3:45 p.m. The body camera wasn't recording this, but Dr. Henderson's phone was. He dictated a memo to himself while driving. His voice, recorded on his phone's voice memo app, would later be entered as evidence. Tuesday, May 24th, 3:45 p.m. I was just stopped by a sheriff's deputy for driving the car I legally purchased 20 minutes earlier. The officer accused me of vehicle theft. He demanded I exit my vehicle. He threatened arrest. He only backed down. When my salesman came out and confirmed the purchase, I'm recording this while the details are fresh. I'm filing a formal complaint tonight. He did exactly that. At 8:30 p.m., he submitted a complaint through the Sheriff's Department's online portal. He attached 3 documents: his bill of sale, his phone video, and a 2-page written statement detailing the stop, the accusations, the threat of arrest, and the humiliation of having to prove his ownership while customers watched. Through the dealership windows. The complaint was assigned to Sergeant Linda Morrison in the Internal Affairs Unit. She received it on Wednesday morning at 8:00 a.m. Standard protocol required her to review any available video evidence within 72 hours. She retrieved Sullivan's body camera footage at 9:14 a.m. What she saw contradicted Sullivan's written report entirely. The footage showed Dr. Henderson complying with every command. It showed him calmly explaining his ownership. It showed him presenting documentation. It showed Sullivan dismissing that documentation. It showed the salesman confirming the purchase. It showed Sullivan's report of an argumentative and uncooperative driver was fabricated. Morrison flagged the case for command review. She forwarded the file to Captain James Torres at 10:05 a.m. Torres watched the footage twice. He requested Sullivan's complete stop history for the previous 12 months. The data showed a pattern. Here at What? The camera saw we share documented and reconstructed police interactions inspired by real cases to help viewers understand their rights, decision-making, and real-world consequences. Our goal is education, awareness, and clarity, never sensationalism. The statistical analysis took 3 days. The department's data analyst, Rebecca Lynn, compiled Sullivan's traffic stop records dating back to January 2021. The results appeared in a 7-page report submitted to Captain Torres on Friday, May 26th. The numbers were damning. Sullivan had conducted 437 traffic stops between January 2021 and May 2023. Of those stops, 381 involved drivers of color. That represented 87% of his stops in a county where the population was 61% white. When adjusted for driving patterns and population density in his patrol zone, the expected ratio should have been approximately 55% white drivers, 45% drivers of color. Sullivan's stops showed the inverse squared. More troubling was the subset of investigatory stops, stops not for traffic violations but for suspicious activity, vehicle verification, or welfare checks. Sullivan had conducted 93 such stops. 89 involved people of color. 73 involved black drivers operating vehicles valued above $50,000. The pattern wasn't subtle, it was systematic. Captain Torres forwarded the analysis to the county sheriff, Douglas Winters. On Monday, May 29th, Sheriff Winters had been elected on a reform platform. He'd promised accountability. He'd promised transparency. The Henderson case, now bolstered by statistical evidence of racial profiling, presented a crisis and an opportunity. On Tuesday, May 30th, Sheriff Winters placed Sullivan on administrative leave pending investigation. The decision was communicated via email at 7 a.m. Sullivan was ordered to surrender his badge, service weapon, and credentials. He was prohibited from discussing the case with other department members. He would continue to receive salary and benefits during the investigation per union contract. Dr. Henderson received a phone call that afternoon from Captain Torres. The call lasted 11 minutes. Torres apologized. He explained that Sullivan had been placed on leave. He assured Dr. Henderson that the investigation was being taken seriously. He offered the department's cooperation with any legal action Dr. Henderson chose to pursue. "I appreciate that, Captain," Dr. Henderson said, "but an apology doesn't erase what happened. I'm a 41-year-old professional. I've worked my entire life to earn what I have, and I was treated like a criminal for driving a car I legally own. How many other people has this happened to?" Torres didn't have an answer. Dr. Henderson retained an attorney on June 2nd. Her name was Angela Reeves. She was a partner at Morrison and Reeves, a civil rights firm specializing in police misconduct cases. She'd won settlements totaling $14.7 million over the previous 8 years. She reviewed the body cam footage, the incident report, the statistical analysis, and Dr. Henderson's documentation within 48 hours. "This is one of the clearest cases of pretextual racial profiling I've seen," she told Dr. Henderson in her office on June 5th. "The body cam footage is devastating for them. The officer's report is demonstrably false. The statistics show a pattern. We have everything we need." On June 12th, Reeves filed a federal complaint in the district court. The defendants were Deputy Derek Sullivan and the County Sheriff's Department. The charges included violation of Fourth Amendment rights against unreasonable search and seizure under 42 U.S.C., paragraph 1983, violation of 14th Amendment equal protection rights under 42 U.S.C., paragraph 1983, unlawful detention based on racial profiling, intentional infliction of emotional distress, negligent, supervision failure to properly train officers on racial bias, The complaint demanded $4.2 million in damages and comprehensive departmental reforms. The filing made regional news. 3 local television stations ran segments. The body cam footage, released through a Freedom of Information Act request filed by Reeves, was broadcast on the evening news. The optics were devastating. A well-dressed black man, hands on the steering wheel, calmly explaining his ownership, while a white officer threatened him with arrest. The footage played on a loop across social media. It was shared 47,000 times in the first 72 hours. Sullivan hired a defense attorney, Marcus Brennan, a former prosecutor who specialized in law enforcement defense. Brennan's strategy was predictable. Sullivan had reasonable suspicion. He'd followed protocol. The stop was brief. No force was used. The outcome was appropriate. But the body cam footage destroyed each argument methodically. Reasonable suspicion requires articulable facts. Sullivan's report cited temporary tags and suspicious vehicle, neither of which constitutes a crime or violation. The footage showed the tags were clearly legitimate, dated that day, from a licensed dealership visible from the stop location. Protocol required Sullivan to verify information before escalating to detention. The footage showed he'd dismissed Dr. Henderson's documentation without examination. He'd threatened arrest before investigating. The claim of a brief stop was contradicted by the timestamp, 27 minutes, for a stop that should have ended in 90 seconds once the documentation was reviewed. The assertion that no force was used ignored the legal definition of force. Detention is force. Handcuffs are force. The threat of arrest is force. The county's attorneys knew the body cam footage was indefensible. On August 15th, they approached Reeves with a settlement offer, $750,000. Dr. Henderson would sign a non-disclosure agreement. The department would admit no wrongdoing. Reeves rejected it immediately. "My client isn't interested in burying this," she told the county's lead counsel, Patricia Valdez. "He wants accountability, he wants reform, and he wants other victims to know this happened systematically." She filed a motion to expand the lawsuit to a class action. The motion cited the statistical analysis showing Sullivan's pattern of targeting black drivers. It requested permission to notify other potential victims. It proposed a victim compensation fund. Judge Michael Chen granted the motion on September 8th. The notice went out through multiple channels. The sheriff's department was ordered to mail letters to every individual stopped by Sullivan between January 2021 and May 2023, all 437 people. The letter explained the lawsuit, invited them to join as plaintiffs, and provided contact information for Reeves's firm. Within 6 weeks, 63 people responded. Their stories formed a mosaic of discrimination. A cardiologist stopped 4 times in 18 months for broken taillight that was never broken. A software engineer detained for matching the description of a suspect in a county he'd never visited. A high school principal handcuffed in front of his students for improper lane change on a straight road with no witnesses. 47 of these cases involved body camera footage, Sullivan's camera. The BIA device he'd activated to document his professionalism had instead created an archive of his bias. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District began a parallel investigation in October. Federal civil rights cases require proof of willful deprivation of constitutional rights. The body cam footage, combined with the statistical evidence and the pattern of false reports, met that threshold. On November 14th, a federal grand jury indicted Sullivan on 3 counts: deprivation of rights under color of law, 18 U.S.C. paragraph 242, falsification of records in a federal investigation, 18 U.S.C. paragraph 1519, conspiracy to obstruct justice, 18 U.S.C. paragraph 371. The last charge included his supervisor, Sergeant William Drake, who'd reviewed and approved Sullivan's false reports over a 2-year period. Drake had seen the body cam footage. He'd read the reports. He'd noticed the discrepancies. He'd approved them anyway. Sullivan was arrested at his home on November 16th at 6 a.m. His own body camera wasn't recording this, but the FBI agent's cameras were. The footage showed Sullivan answering the door in a t-shirt and sweatpants, confusion on his face. "I'm a deputy sheriff," he said. "There must be some mistake." "No mistake," the lead agent said. "Derek Sullivan, you're under arrest for violation of civil rights under color of law." The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The officer who'd threatened to arrest a man for owning a car was now facing federal prosecution. The trial began on February 12th in federal court. Judge Sarah Mendez presided. The prosecution was led by Assistant U.S. Attorney Daniel Ortiz, a veteran of civil rights cases, with an 83% conviction rate. The trial lasted 4 weeks. The prosecution's case was built on 3 pillars: the body cam footage, the statistical evidence, the testimony of victims. The footage played on courtroom monitors for the jury, all 27 minutes and 33 seconds. The jurors watched Sullivan approach the vehicle. They heard his commands. They saw Dr. Henderson's compliance. They witnessed the dismissal of documentation. They observed the salesman's intervention. They noted Sullivan's refusal to acknowledge his error. The statistical expert, Dr. Raymond Torres, a professor of quantitative criminology, testified for 2 hours. He explained the methodology behind the analysis. He presented charts showing Sullivan's stop patterns compared to population, demographics, traffic patterns, and crime rates. He calculated the probability that Sullivan's pattern was random. The probability that this pattern occurred without racial bias, Dr. Torres testified, is less than 0.001%. To put that in perspective, you're more likely to be struck by lightning 4 times in 1 year than to produce this pattern without intentional discrimination. Then came the victims. 47 people testified over 8 days. Each told their story. Each described being stopped by Sullivan. Each explained the humiliation, the fear, the assumption of criminality. Each presented their credentials: doctors, lawyers, engineers, teachers, business owners. Each described the same experience Dr. Henderson had: the demand for excessive documentation, the suspicion that didn't apply to white drivers, the subtle and not so subtle messages that they didn't belong. The body camera had recorded them all. Sullivan's defense rested on 2 arguments. He was following his training, and he had no racist intent. The training argument collapsed under cross-examination. Ortiz presented the Sheriff's Department training manual. It explicitly prohibited pretextual stops based on racial profiling. It required officers to articulate specific violations or criminal activity before initiating a stop. It mandated that officers examine documentation presented by drivers before escalating to detention. Sullivan had violated each requirement. The intent argument failed for a simpler reason. The law doesn't require proof of subjective racism. It requires proof of differential treatment based on race. The statistics proved that. The body cam footage proved that. Sullivan had stopped, detained, and threatened black drivers under circumstances where white drivers would have been waved through or treated with deference. The jury deliberated for 7 hours. They returned guilty verdicts on all 3 counts. Judge Mendez scheduled sentencing for April 18th. Federal sentencing guidelines for deprivation of rights under color of law range from 10 months to life imprisonment, depending on injury. While Dr. Henderson hadn't suffered physical injury, the pattern of abuse affecting dozens of victims qualified for enhancement under 18 U.S.C. paragraph 242b. At sentencing, Dr. Henderson addressed the court. He'd written a victim impact statement. He read it for 6 minutes. "I'm not here for revenge," he said. "I'm here because what happened to me happens every day to people who look like me. We're presumed guilty. We're presumed illegitimate. We're presumed criminal. No matter what we achieve, no matter what we earn, no matter what we do, there's always a moment when we're reminded that to some people, we don't belong. Deputy Sullivan didn't stop me because I committed a crime. He stopped me because I didn't fit his picture of who should drive an expensive car. His bias nearly cost me my freedom. His camera proved my innocence. Without that footage, it would have been his word against mine. And we all know how that usually ends." Judge Mendez sentenced Sullivan to 3 years and 4 months in federal prison. She sentenced Sergeant Drake, who'd approved the false reports, to 18 months. This court recognizes that the majority of law enforcement officers serve honorably, Judge Mendez said. But when officers abuse their authority to target citizens based on race, they undermine the legitimacy of every badge. Deputy Sullivan didn't just violate Dr. Henderson's rights, he violated the public trust. His body camera was supposed to ensure accountability. Instead, it documented systematic discrimination. The sentence must reflect the severity of that betrayal. Sullivan was remanded into custody immediately. He would serve his sentence at a federal correctional institution. His law enforcement career was over. He would never work in policing again. But the civil case was still pending. Settlement negotiations resumed in May. The county's position had weakened considerably. The federal conviction proved willful discrimination. The pattern evidence showed institutional failure, and the publicity had created political pressure. County commissioners faced angry constituents demanding reform. On June 8th, the county agreed to a comprehensive settlement. The terms included $2.8 million to Dr. Henderson for damages, emotional distress and attorney's fees, $1.6 million compensation fund for the 47 other victims, distributed based on severity of harm creation of an independent civilian oversight board with subpoena power to investigate complaints, mandatory implicit bias training for all deputies, conducted quarterly with testing requirements, immediate termination for any deputy who files a demonstrably false report, body camera activation required for 100% of stops and interactions, with automatic 30-day suspension, without pay for first violation, termination for second random monthly audit of body camera footage by Civilian Review Board, public quarterly reports showing demographic data of all stops, searches and arrests, revision of training materials to emphasize constitutional rights and anti-discrimination law, ban on pretextual stops based solely on suspicious activity without articulable criminal behavior, zero-tolerance policy for racial profiling with mandatory referral to State Attorney General. The settlement became a model. Law schools teaching civil rights law began citing the case. Police reform advocates pointed to it as evidence that body cameras, combined with statistical analysis and victim testimony, could produce accountability. The case appeared in training materials at the FBI Academy. It was referenced in Department of Justice consent decrees with other agencies. Dr. Henderson used his portion of the settlement to establish the Fair Policing Foundation. The nonprofit provides legal assistance to victims of discriminatory policing, funds research on traffic stop disparities, and advocates for body camera legislation. In its first 2 years, the foundation assisted 214 people in filing civil rights complaints and contributed to the passage of body camera accountability laws in 4 states. The dealership, mortified by the incident, implemented its own reforms. Sales staff now receive training on supporting customers who face discrimination. The dealership provides written documentation confirming purchase immediately upon sale with the customer's photo and multiple contact numbers for verification. They've partnered with the local NAACP chapter to create a Know Your Rights card that comes with every vehicle purchased, explaining how to document stops and what to do if ownership is questioned. Robert Chen, the sales manager who intervened, received a commendation from the Dealer Network's corporate office. He testified at trial without subpoena. "It was the right thing to do," he said in a later interview. "Dr. Henderson was my customer. He'd just given us nearly $90,000, and he was being treated like a criminal. No one should have to experience that." Sullivan served 37 months in federal prison. He was released in October 2026. He never issued a public apology. In a brief statement released through his attorney, he maintained he'd been following his training and that the prosecution had been politically motivated. He moved to another state. He did not seek employment in law enforcement. Sergeant Drake served 16 months. Upon release, he retired from the Sheriff's Department with a reduced pension. He also never apologized. Sheriff Winters was re-elected in 2024. He'd made implementation of the settlement reforms a centerpiece of his campaign. The department's compliance rate with body camera activation reached 96% by 2025. Racial disparity in traffic stops decreased by 38% in the first year after the settlement. Formal complaints of discriminatory policing dropped by 53%. The reforms weren't perfect. Critics noted that reducing disparities to only 38% still meant discrimination persisted. Some deputies complained the Civilian Oversight Board was too aggressive. Others argued the bias training was performative. But the reforms represented movement. They represented acknowledgement, and they represented the power of evidence. Body cameras were sold to the public as tools of transparency, devices that would protect both officers and civilians. That would create objective records of interactions. That would prevent he said, she said disputes. The promise was accountability. The Henderson case proved the promise could be real, but only if the footage was reviewed, only if patterns were analyzed, only if consequences followed misconduct, only if the technology served truth instead of merely creating archives that nobody watched. Officer Derek Sullivan activated his body camera on May 24, 2023 at 3:14 p.m. He was following department policy. He believed he was conducting a legitimate investigation. He was confident in his judgment. He didn't see his own bias. He didn't recognize his assumptions. He didn't realize his pattern. His camera saw everything. It recorded him walking past. Temporary dealer tags that proved legitimate ownership. It captured him dismissing documentation without examination. It documented him threatening arrest without cause. It preserved his false report word for word. It archived his pattern over 2 years and 437 stops. The device designed to protect him became the evidence that convicted him. The footage meant to document his professionalism, instead documented his discrimination. His 14-year career ended in federal prison, brought down by the lens mounted on his own chest. Dr. Marcus Henderson drove away from that stop in his legally owned Mercedes-Benz, but he couldn't drive away from the memory, the assumption, the humiliation, the knowledge that his credentials, his documentation, his compliance meant nothing against the weight of bias. He bought a car. He was treated like a thief. His skin made him suspicious. His success made him implausible. His legitimacy required extraordinary proof that white drivers never face. But his story was recorded. Every frame, every word, every second, the body camera captured it all. And that made all the difference. If you believe officers who conduct pretextual stops based solely on racial profiling deserve federal prosecution, and that body cameras must have real accountability through mandatory activation, independent review, and consequences for false reports, subscribe and turn on notifications. Because tomorrow we have another story that shows technology meant to protect can also expose the truth when the evidence is too clear to ignore.